Oil is the obvious place to start. And what oil has done is put in a very, very hefty move. We go back to Tuesday last week. We are now up a full $10. So that is around about 15%. Very, very large move. Note though, on the daily, what we've done is we've broken through this red box. We got into it. We've then moved all the way through. And I think this would seem like a logical area for the market to perhaps take a pause. Just note as well on this, that this move is the move that came after the Tuesday Iran threat. That was the Tuesday Iran threat. This was then the continued pricing in of this escalation and what it could mean and the retaliation from Israel. So do just be aware of what's being priced in. Yeah, this is more pricing in a further retaliation from Israel and an escalation of the situation, as opposed to it being necessarily anything overtly to do with the Iran threat anymore. So the question now is, well, is this move now complete? Have we done enough to think to ourselves that maybe there isn't all that much more in this, and perhaps oil is going to take a little bit of a break? Which then brings us on to the shorter time frame. And what we have done actually since I put this chart up is start to back off. We're now trading down around about this area. So the one thing that we're perhaps losing is the play for the gap close. That said, with the size of movements, even just to get from the pink line, which is roughly where we are now, around 75.80, down to the gap close is still 25 ticks. So there's still potentially something in this. We have had this very, very strong overnight positioning type movement. It seems very, very reminiscent of Wednesday last week. Go back and have a look at your charts on Wednesday last week, where we did this drift in the overnight and then rolled it straight back during the cash session. So go and look at that from Wednesday. But where we are, we have put in a pretty hefty move on the upside. We are still going to be opening with a gap. The thing that also makes you feel a bit like Wednesday is look where value is from Friday. Yes, it is extended up towards 75, but really, if you take the bulk of where the action is, you could probably say it's from about 74.5. So that's getting you all the way down here. Sorry, even lower down here. So don't rule out the possibility of a full reversal. You get inside of yesterday's range and a move down, another 100 ticks down here, I don't think would be out of the question. Oil has done a huge amount of late, and the fact that we've got no real furtherance of this story over the weekend perhaps promotes the idea that maybe we are, to a degree, done on this one for now. The S&P. This is a market that I feel does not seem to know what it wants to do. Oil seems pretty clear. It's just a question of the extent of continuation. Arguably, bonds are the same. The S&P really doesn't seem to know. It's had its run up on Friday on the back of the payrolls data, so a pretty decent move there. It sort of shrugged off the initial Iran panic. This very quickly became a story that was very oil orientated and nothing else. Iran panic, days of balance. It was set really nice for a breakout on payrolls, which is exactly what we then got, which was this move in here. Up, backs it off, all the way back up again. It's a market that really doesn't know what to do with itself. That's the way it feels to me. What we've done overnight so far is rolled back down the range. So we started off up here and we're now trading back down the range in around about the mid 70s area. So you're going to be opening probably somewhere inside of value. Incidentally, this is a very, very poor value area. So poor value area, I would expect to see trade towards the top, 5,800. I would expect to see trade towards the bottom, 57.67. Until you pass either of those points, it really doesn't seem to be a great deal of direction. Downside, all of this is very, very well traded. There's not a great deal of reason, if you can take out the overnight lows, why you can't then rotate down through last week's range. Look at where the bulk of the volume is. This is where we were all nicely balanced last week. Aside from that, there isn't much upside. You look at your profiles, I'm thinking 08, 09 is the key area that you should be interested in, but you then also got it looking up towards 58.21 before then record highs. So a bit of a waiting game for the S&P, and one that even if you start to see movement, I'm not overly convinced or not overly confident of its ability to sustain this. It's consistently recently shown it doesn't really like it on the upside. But that said, on the back of increased threat, it's not a market that's gone down either. So it's a bit wait and see at the moment for the S&P. Finally, one market that I think does have scope and I think probably will result in some kind of direction. You could almost draw this, assuming I can, as a bit of a pennant like that, is gold. Gold has been very, very stable this week. It very quickly sort of shrugged off the Iran story. It's very quickly shrugged off payrolls as well. It's a market that doesn't seem overly clear. Well, it doesn't seem overly clear where it wants to go, but it's also very nicely controlled in doing so, i.e., it's building up positioning. Some people think it's going up, some people think it's going down. Some of them are going to be wrong at some point soon, and that's going to produce the direction. So really, I think you're looking, the trend seems the obvious one on the upside. So you've got the trend, and then you've got this sort of 26.95 area as well, being the next area that you're interested in. On the downside, you've got two ways of looking at it. You can draw the sort of lower part of the pennant, or you can be looking down here towards the sort of 26.48 area for the beginning of any kind of move down, potentially taking back some of that big rally recently in gold. I think it's more a matter of when rather than if, and it's more a matter of waiting for the big action rather than trying to guess the direction here. Whilst you're stuck in this range, this sort of like 26.85 down towards 26.60, you're kind of really in an area of no man's land. It might go up, it might go down. The clearer move or the clearer action is going to be once it shows you which of those it actually likes and starts to get on with it.